It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Anthony,
Yo, what's up?
how you doing today?
I am fan-friggin-tastic.
Really?
Yes. You know why? Because I've never had a bad day in my life.
Well, that's amazing. I'm very impressed that you haven't had a bad day in your life. Me, I'm just trying to dig out from the bottom and try to have one good day.
You got to just have a positive attitude. So what are we talking about today, Glenn?
I'm
we were
glad-
talking off camera, off mic, whatever you want to call it. And you just hit me with a subject.
Yeah.
What is that subject?
All right, so first of all, I want to just say a quick thank you to the folks at the Moxie Times Square for giving us a space to record today. Loving this hotel. But now, moving on.
Can I talk about the Moxie? I love the Moxie.
Yeah.
I just love the Moxie.
And
It's got Moxie.
I think what I want to do is I want to come back around and talk about that particular brand in a minute, but I want to couch it within the confines of a larger conversation. In the hospitality industry,
Who died and made you boss?
yeah, that's a really good point. Who did make me
Who's
boss?
who's making you in charge of this
You know what?
podcast?
You know what it is I feel like if I just sound like I'm in charge, people are going to assume I'm in charge, and most of the time that works in my life. But you've caught on to me, man.
Okay, Glenn. We'll play your silly game.
Thank you. I do appreciate you, making me feel good about myself. So anyway, Anthony. So what I wanted to say is, as this episode is about to air, we're getting ready in Los Angeles for the first major hotel financial conference of the year. And that's called ALIS, otherwise known as the America's Lodging Investment Summit. And everybody goes to ALIS out in LA last week of January this year. And it's going to be a big collection of several thousand people, and it's all of the major hotel brands are going to be there. All of the major owners and operators and management companies are going to be there, and it's a real get-together hullabaloo of all of the top people within the industry. And what I wanted to discuss today is what I think are going to be some of the most interesting challenges that nobody's going to be talking about at ALIS, but are very, very real, that are going to affect both the hospitality ownership side and the branding side, and in the end, the customers.
Blah, 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 blah.
Well, I'm glad that you find this. You find me so interesting.
No, I think it's fascinating. I think it's something we have to talk about. But before we do that, I'm a kid with a shiny ball. Look up.
It's bald, not ball.
Look up.
All right, I'm looking up. I'm looking up at the ceiling here.
Look at the shade.
I'm looking at the shade.
Have you ever seen that before?
I have never seen that.
Explain to the audience what you're looking at.
Right on top of the shade, which is actually rolls up and down in a nice little thing. That's beautiful. But right above it seems to be the fire extinguisher, the water thing that comes out.
The sprinkler system.
Sprinkler! I forgot that word.
Every shade has a sprinkler in between the wood framing and the shade is a sprinkler. And if you look above you in the room, there's sprinklers. So there's sprinklers everywhere in the room, which is appropriate. But then there's sprinklers in the middle of the shade.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. And I'm actually going to post that on my Instagram right now.
All right.
Because I think that is, I've never seen that.
All right, excellent. So while Anthony is going to be doing that, I did want to say how exciting the ALIS conference is going to be. And it's really cool because all of the major hotel industry CEOs are going to be there. For my No Vacancy podcast, I'm going to be shooting a lot of great videos with all these influencers. And I'm super excited to say here that I'm going to have Pat Pacious, the CEO of Choice Hotels, back on the No Vacancy podcast. So be sure, everybody, to go check the No Vacancy podcast feed for all of these great interviews that I've been doing over there. I talked to a lot of CEOs, a lot of the major influencers, all the people that refuse to be on Checking In with Anthony and Glenn because they just can't handle Anthony.
That's right. So where is this? Where is the conference?
It's at the JW Marriott in Los Angeles.
When's the date?
January 28th.
I might be out there then.
Oh, yeah?
Are you inviting me?
Sure, I am. If you want to go, I'll talk to the event people. Might be able to.
No, I don't need to be there to be an event person, but I'm going to be in LA, I think, that week.
Oh.
And just invite me over to kind of play around.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe we'll do a podcast.
I would love to do that with you.
I think I'm going to go.
So, all right. So we'll check out our calendars and we'll keep you guys out there notified what's going to be going on. But the really cool thing about that week is, Anthony, me and a couple of my friends, or 4 or 5 of us after the conference is over, we're sticking around because I wanted to shoot some videos. We're going to go down to Disneyland and be foolish teenagers again for a day. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That sounds like I can't wait for that kind of fun.
Hey, you make fun, but I'm going to get some great content out of it. I love theme parks because theme park design to me is really
It's fantastic.
fascinating and interesting. And people love to slam like Disney World, Disneyland, and those kinds of things.
No, I love Disney World.
But the thoughts that go into it, the design that goes into it is just so fascinating to me on so many different levels because I'm a huge fan of consumer behavior, right? And the whole idea of how Walt Disney himself, when he created Disneyland, created the castle in the middle, what they would call a weenie, something to attract people in and get them to go down and spread out throughout the entire theme park. And if you look at the Disneyland park, it seems so normal, but it really created what all of these other places are doing today with the innovative hub and spoke system and all of these other elements of it, and really creating a sense of theming and environment that is at a hyper level. But that's not what we're here to talk about today, although I could talk about it all day long. What I wanted to talk to you today about, Anthony, is this incredible proliferation of hospitality brands. It seems like every month we're getting one after another after another. What does this mean to the actual hotel industry? And what does this mean for hotel owners and management companies?
Well, I think
there?
first and foremost, what does it mean to owners? Because it doesn't matter what it means to the industry or to the customer or to even the brands. It really matters what it means to the owners, because if the owners sign off on it and the owners excited about whatever's happening, then everything's going to line up, right? And then if it's successful, it's not, it's not. But you have to excite the owners. So if I have let's say a Holiday Inn Express.
Right.
And
all right, we'll say it. You have a Holiday Inn Express.
On 40th and 8th Avenue.
All right.
And then
Good location. Nice job.
And then I have an Element. And then I have a Hilton product,
Right.
which is the Fair, what's it called?
They've got a whole lot of different Hilton products. Are you talking about the new True brand or the Hampton brand in particular?
Hampton. Then
There's a Hilton Garden Inn up there, I believe.
Hilton Garden Inn. So you have all these brands, 9 of them.
Right.
There's 9 brands in one block radius. Literally on the same block, just around the corner from each other.
Right.
So if I'm an owner, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what do I have that they don't have? Everybody looks the same. Everybody feels the same. So what's my advantage? What's my competitive advantage? Because it's on 8th Avenue, wherever it is, on 40th Street, and you have these 9 brands, these 9 hotels, you kind of almost get away with it because it's New York City, because it's just late 97%.
Well, there's a reason why there's a Starbucks on every other block on 6th Avenue.
But take that concept, right? Okay, and you put it in that dense area of New York that's in the center of the universe. Okay, and everything in America starts from Times Square as far as rate, right? And then goes out all the way to L.A., and then L.A. then comes back to New York. So that's really the epicenter of the hotel business, L.A. and Times Square. So if you take that, what's happening in Times Square, and you put it in Tennessee, or you put it in Missouri, or you put it in a different area where you don't have that compression like you have in New York City or LA, and you have those 9 brands all in the same town. I'm going through this one of my consulting gigs where we have a brand, and they're opening brands all around them, and they're all dying because there's oversaturation. It's all the sameness. It's all sameness. So what does that do for an owner? And I think owners are starting to talk about it and quietly amongst themselves.
Right. And here's the thing. A lot of these new hotel brands that have been introduced by the major hospitality companies over the last 2 years are nice. I would stay in each and every one of them. But the problem that I'm starting to have is that with all of these...
Why?
Why what?
Why would you choose one over the other?
Well, that's the issue. I wouldn't. They're becoming a fungible product, and that's the point that I'm trying to get at. As the industry has said, we're creating all of these different products because we want to appeal towards a different group of people, a different mindset, a different way of living in the hospitality universe. What they've all done is they've pivoted all in exactly the same direction. So they're all different in exactly the same way, which brings another level of sameness back to where we were just 5 years ago.
Right. And again, getting back to the Moxie where we're sitting right now, this doesn't feel like anything else. Right. This feels like 5-star service and the 3-star brand. But the 3-star brand, to me, if I didn't know what a 5-star brand was, I'd be like, this seems like 5-star. Or everything that you sit on, everything you touch, everything you look at is high quality. From the signage to the seating to the marble to the towels to the sink, this table, the chairs we're sitting in, it's a highly designed chair that's very comfortable. like it makes sense to me. So if I'm sitting here, I know I'm in a Moxie. So as an owner, if you're trying to get my business, a brand's trying to get my business, and say they bring me the Hilton product and they all look the same, but you bring me to the Marriott and all of a sudden you sit me in the Moxie. I was like, okay, all the other brands maybe look the same, but the Moxie, all right, now you got my attention. Now this is different. This feels different. Now it seems that if Anthony and Glenn are coming into New York City and we're all priced the same, Anthony and Holiday Inn Express or Moxie, I'm always going to come back to the Moxie because I just feel better.
All right, but even if the fact that the whole point of the Moxie is that there's more amenities and services downstairs, so the rooms are much smaller because they really feel you're going to be spending your time either eating, drinking, or chilling downstairs or using the city.
I don't think that's a problem. It depends on, do you want to pay another $100 or $200 more?
Right.
Then fine.
Right.
But a lot of people coming to New York City are out of the hotel 18 hours a day.
I agree.
So what's the purpose of having a big room that nobody uses? Actually, my wife says it all the time. It's like she doesn't want to spend money on the hotel room. I'm like, I don't care. I want to spend money on the hotel room because I like staying in the hotel room.
Right.
But most people are not there to stay in the hotel room. I literally traveled to stay in hotel rooms.
I'll tell you, right? I'll tell you one of the funniest things is that sometimes, like, I'm very fortunate and I'm very keen on the fact that I am very fortunate. A lot of times I'm a guest of somebody at their hotel. I'm very straight up about that. I'm either doing a speaking engagement or I'm on an assignment and the GM might know me and I get put in these really great rooms. And one of the problems I have is I'm never in the room long enough to enjoy the damn thing, you know?
So I think what's happening from an owner standpoint, a real estate standpoint, an investment standpoint, a banking standpoint is every square foot matters. And if you can figure out a model like the Moxie has, okay, still get the RevPAR, revenue per available room, still get the service scores that you need to stay in the brand, and still make as much money as your friend down the block that has bigger rooms, why not have a 600-room hotel as opposed to a 400-room hotel, still get the same average rate with a smaller footprint because you're overcompensating on the amenities downstairs and the service as opposed to the room.
Right. Yeah, absolutely true, and I kind of agree with that idea. And I think this type of property works exceptionally well in a place like this. It'll work great in Miami. It'll work great in LA. It'll work great in a lot of places. I'm not so sure it works so great in Ames, Iowa, because that might be a little bit different of an experience that you're looking for.
Because you don't have other hotels with the same limit of space.
That's right.
Here, this is about limit of space. If I'm in Iowa, why wouldn't I want to be in a 500 square foot room?
Right.
In New York City, I don't want to pay for a 500 square foot room. I can get in Iowa a $99 room and be 500 square feet, like a Staybridge Suites. I can get $99 Staybridge Suites in Iowa and have storage and everything else I need. Right. Why would I want to cramp myself in? So like any brand, it's specific to a region or a city, and that's why there's so many of them. Right? But this brand, to me, has the potential to really grow into a 4-star brand. So you could actually say, okay, this works. We're getting good average rate. So let's make the rooms a little bit bigger, have the hotel a little bit smaller, see if we can charge a little bit more rate, and see if this can actually morph into something even better, or maybe there's two levels of this brand.
All right. Well, here's the rub that I'm thinking of. I think Moxie is doing the right thing in New York City. A lot of the major hotel companies are coming out with all of these newer brands, and what they've done, they're all select service brands I'm speaking specifically of, and I don't want to say any specific names because I do appreciate all the hard work that people are doing. But the fact is, a lot of these brands are coming out right now that are geared towards the owner and creating something that's less money to build per square foot for construction, but I think is missing the point entirely with the guest. They're saying that guests want smaller rooms because they want to hang out in the lobby. I've never met any guest in my life that says, I want to have a smaller room. I think that everyone in the industry has convinced themselves that smaller rooms work better because they're going to make more money in the lobby. This is what I'm speaking specifically of, not in New York City, not in LA, but in second-tier markets, for example.
Well, again, I think if they get the service right and they get the amenities right, the limited amenities they have, I think it could work. But to make believe, again, we can talk about the resort fee another time, but like the resort fee, well, you get air and you get TVs and you get a door for the front door, including your resort fee. I mean, it's ridiculous of what people are trying to get away with resort fees. So I think if you're trying to scam the customer, you're in trouble. The Moxie doesn't do that. Like, this is a limited service hotel, correct?
This falls into a category of what I feel is I call quasi full service hotel. I saw it with Hilton Garden Inn. That's kind of where I kind of coined that phrase many, many years ago, because it has all of the feeling of this full service hotel without all that crap that you don't need. I don't need a guy to say, hey, can I take your luggage? No, my bag has wheels, right? So they've gotten rid of all of those things, but they still have a bar. They still have a restaurant. They still have meeting places.
Lifestyle service.
Right.
Maybe call full service, call lifestyle service. But like I've been here since, I don't know, 9 o'clock this morning. It's now 2 o'clock or whatever time I got here.
3:45 now.
Okay. And I had breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Great service. Mm-hmm. When I needed somebody, they were there. We had lunch. Great service. I had a very comfortable environment downstairs. This felt very full service hotel to me. That's what I don't understand. Right. So I think what's going to eventually happen is you're not going to have limited service, full service. You're going to have a star, whatever it's 3, 4 star, and everybody else.
Well, here's the thing, Anthony. I think that the hotel industry and the way that we think about things is very different than the way the customer thinks about things. We seem to be forced into having to choose, is this a select service hotel? Is this a full service hotel? Is this whatever kind of hotel? Guests don't care. I don't think that they say I want to stay at a full service hotel. I don't think they think that way. No.
And once the Hilton in New York City started taking away room service, and now room service is really going away everywhere, that was really the big component of full service. When you thought about limited service, full service, it came down to room service.
Right.
And now since nobody has room service anymore, nobody has amenities in their rooms, nobody has mini bars, let's say, in their rooms. The mini bar and full service in a Bellman is consistent with full service. You take those 3 things away, what do you got?
Right.
You got lifestyle service. I don't need room service, especially if I'm in New York. I don't need room service, right? I don't want room service in New York. Unless, again, I'm at a 5-star hotel.
That's another thing I can't stand is that term lifestyle hotels. That one's always
it
always rubbed me the wrong way because I didn't feel that any of these hotels that are supposedly lifestyle hotels are actually lifestyle hotels.
So Glenn, let's coin a new phrase for hotels.
Yeah, let's do it.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll say a word, and you agree or disagree. Lifestyle hotels. I hate that word.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay. Give me one.
You took the easy one.
No. So I don't care, and I'm thinking as you're thinking. You go.
Right. As to what? Come
up with another name for like these limited service, lifestyle, kind of full service. What's the name of the hotel?
I just think they're hotels. I think that trying to create these categories is more merely an affect to try to attract owners to convince them that they're a different type of property than anything else. I think they're all the same. Maybe we could say design forward.
No, he died even worse than lifestyle.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
So now your turn. Ha-ha.
How about hotels? I think you're right.
Yeah.
Just hotels.
Yeah.
But in order to sell, brands have to sell.
Right.
They have to separate and give another product. So let's talk a little bit about why they have to come up with all these brands. Like, what's the financial reason?
Let's do that.
After the break.
That's right. You got it. Hold on. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, Glenn here. So listen to this. Cobblestone Hotels is celebrating their 10th anniversary, and man, have they accomplished a lot in the last decade. Already, they have more than 150 hotels throughout the United States, but they're in smaller and medium-sized markets. Those markets that the big franchise companies, they're underserving, they're overlooking, and in some cases just ignoring. But Cobblestone is an expert in these markets. And their president and CEO, Brian Wagernes, listen, I've gotten to know him in the last 10 years, and he has worked every job possible, including being an owner and operator. I can personally vouch for how awesome this company is, how awesome he is as an individual, because he understands the importance of finding the right combination of hotel brand and franchise owner. He's also an incredibly dedicated professional. Whether it's a Cobblestone Hotel and Suites Main Street design, Borders Inn and Suites, or one of the newly acquired brands such as Boulders Inn and Suites, Key West Inns, Centerstone Inns and Suites, Cobblestone has brands that range from economy to upper mid-tier, and one that's right for you. Quite simply, Cobblestone Hotels is the franchise for franchise owners. Patrick Mullenix, well, he's Cobblestone's new president of franchise development. Give him a call or check out their website at cobblestonefranchising.com. But give Patrick a call. He's a great guy. I've known him for a really, really long time, too. You can find him at 920-216-0620. That's cobblestonefranchising.com. And tell him Glenn sent you. Okay, so Anthony, I'm really glad that you want to talk about this particular topic because this is one that really interests me a lot. Why are there so many hotel brands? What's the truth behind having all of these hotel brands? Well, I got to tell you, I think the reason why all of these hotel brands exist is because most of the companies that are franchising hotels are public companies, and they need to continue to improve their bottom lines quarter after quarter after quarter. And the best way to do that is to introduce new brands into the market in order to sell franchises to people that you've already sold franchises to, but with a different brand, while also kind of skirting around those promises that you wouldn't build the same brand with the areas of protection.
So would you like to role play?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I am the owner, and I'm going to give you the hard job, and you are the brand.
Right.
Mr. Brand.
Yes.
You just opened another property, okay, 2 miles away from me called X Hotel. That's a limited service brand. I'm a limited service brand. They have a pool. I have a pool. They have free breakfast. I have free breakfast. And I know in my contract it says I can't have, a Hampton Inn, say.
Right.
Another Hampton Inn open up, but you have, the Sampson Inn opening up. It's the same concept, just different colors in the room and different, and maybe a couple of different aesthetics.
Right.
But it's basically the same guest. Why are you doing this to me, Mr. Brand?
Actually, it's not the same guest at all, Anthony. It's very different. Here at the Glen Hotel Corporation, we make sure that all of our brands have very delineated swim lanes. So your hotel brand is going to be getting an ADR of $73 a night, but this great new brand that we're introducing, well, that's geared towards a different mindset, a millennial mindset, and that's going to be $67 a night. So here you could see it's completely different. Plus, the rooms are going to be smaller, and they're going to be really changing the whole idea of how people want to stay within hotels. So it's not the same thing at all, Anthony.
So, Mr. Brand, you're going to change the way people stay in hotels just because?
No, we're not changing the way people stay. Your hotel brand is absolutely perfect for an established market group. What we're doing right now is we're trying to appeal towards a new type of consumer, one that we've never really been able to connect with on an emotional level before. So if you want to also get a franchise for this particular brand across the street from you, you're going to be doing a great job. Plus, I'll be able to increase my franchise fees, and I'll be able to go on much better vacations, which I haven't been able to do in a long time.
Mr. Brand, I just wanted to say fuck you, but you know what? I'm almost convinced you should work for a brand. That was good.
Well, that's just really the way it is.
But is it true? No, you're about to say, but that's true. What's true? That they do that, or that what they're saying is real?
I think there's an element of both. But I don't think that saying that our brand is in this swim lane and this new brand is in a different swim lane means anything to anyone other than the owners of the hotels.
Knock, knock. I'm back a year later.
Yep.
Hello, Mr. Brand. It's good to see you again.
Hey, great to see you.
Okay, my average rate has gone down, and my occupancy has gone down, and that hotel that belongs to your brands, family of brands, is stealing market share from me.
No, I can't say that they're stealing market share for you. What is your, are you taking full advantage of all of the tools that we provide to you?
Oh, my God, dude.
We've gone through a lot of effort to create all of these tools. And if you were just at our annual conference, you saw our great new marketing campaign. You saw all of these new things that we're introducing to you, but yet you haven't committed to spend all of this money for our new signage that we're going to give you to make sure that guests are going to come and pay more to your hotel.
Dude, I'm so glad I took the owner role and not the brand
I've just
role,
totally destroyed every relationship I have with every brand.
But you did a really good job of doing it. You're going to go down in blaze of glory.
I know,
baby.
right?
No, but listen, this is not brand bashing.
No.
This is and not that we need to forewarn a brand because the brands understand what's going on. It's what's next. Okay, so what's next?
Could I before we get to what's next? Could I just take? Could I defend what I just said and kind of take the opposite position for a moment?
Sure.
I really feel that these major hotel companies also are in a position where they have no choice. We're in a part of the market now, and the part of the cycle where all of these companies have to get bigger, and they all have to introduce new brands, not just to appeal towards the existing owners that they have, but to prevent other hotel companies from coming in and usurping their territory. So it's better to deal with the devil you know and to open up another hotel with another brand across the street than let that hotel from another company come in and open up a hotel across your street. So I think that there is some sort of positive aspect to this as well.
And I think that's a great point. But I go back to my question of what's next. That is going to come to a head. It has to.
Oh, well, what's next is that the way that the traditional hotel universe is may just change completely. And we see a lot of signs in this every single day. It's why WeWork just changed their name this week as we're recording this to We Company.
Who's this?
WeWork.
Okay.
Right? Because they're getting highly involved. You said on an earlier episode of Checking In with Anthony and Glenn that they purchased the Lord & Taylor building for $850 million. And I was a little confused at the time. I didn't realize that they were going to turn it into a We Live facility. But here we're seeing a fundamental shift in the way that a lot of these companies are thinking about how we're going to live, work, and stay in the future. And I think that, in the end, is a greater danger than just introducing a new flavor of millennial-minded hotel.
Okay.
All right.
You've left me speechless.
That's amazing.
With your ability to understand and just to comprehend what's going on. So you laid it out beautifully. However, I truly think that the brands are going to start condensing. You're going to lose brands. And I think you're just going to start losing them naturally over a period of time. As soon as the market softens again, which it will, because it always does.
I think we're already heading in that direction.
You're going to start seeing some brands just fall off.
Right.
Would you really want to risk your career and tell me which brands would fall off first?
No, I will not risk my career and tell you which brands are going to fall off first. But I do see that happening at some time. And honestly, even if I don't have a name of a particular brand.
Do you think another big consolidation is going to happen, like a Starwood Marriott?
I don't know. I think we may be getting to the end of that. I think that I'm seeing signs that the economy overall is starting to slow. In speaking with a lot of my friends that are in high-level positions with management companies and ownership groups, they're still very bullish, but there is a backdrop of we've got to prepare for the inevitable that's coming. And I think it's going to be a much harder operating environment for folks in 2019. Now, at this Alice conference that I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to really get to understand what people are thinking. But again, my greatest fear there is a lot of these events, I see a lot of what I call groupthink. Like the CEOs will get up on stage and they'll set the tone for how the conference is going to be, and a lot of people just kind of parrot back that. I really like to see the thinkers that talk to me about the direct opposite of what everybody says.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being on a call, a conference, probably, oh my God, it was really early in my career. Maybe I was 32, and I was asked to speak at a conference, and I was always a renegade. And so I completely disagreed with everything that they wanted to talk about on this panel. And I didn't tell them that. I was like, okay, I'll be on the panel, whatever. And I actually called in sick. I've never called in sick, but I didn't. I said I can't make the panel. I don't feel well. Wow. And I didn't go on the panel because I knew what would happen. I would be ostracized because I was going against everything. And it was right before a downturn. I don't remember which downturn it was. And I was literally predicting.
1991?
It might have been. No, I was too new then. It was older than that. 97. Was it downturn 97?
I think so.
So I remember my budget decreasing the percentage of RevPAR by 2.5%. Everybody was increasing it by like 5-something%. And all the analysis that I was doing was showing the opposite. And I was saying there's going to be a softening, a big softening. It was going to go from really, really strong to beyond soft. It's just going to be a real big downturn. And I was right.
Right.
A year later, I was 100% right, but I was afraid to say that.
Right.
So I think you're exactly right when it comes to these conferences. Everybody just parrots each other.
And I used to do a speech that I called Rethinking Conventional Thinking. I don't think there's enough critical thought in our world, and people just hear things and
Fear. There's critical thought, but they don't say it.
I don't know. I mean, I've been up a lot, real late night at bars, drinking with people, and I still don't.
Really?
And I still don't hear a lot of it. I'm like, and one of the things that I love about my role in the industry is to just kind of poke everything, right, and just to try to get people thinking differently. So I like to take the contrarian point of view.
Let me take you just to go off for a second on a tangent. So I'm going to hold you accountable. Do you poke hard enough? Because you are kind of in a situation where...
I can only poke hard enough to a certain extent, because the reality of everything in life is that I need to protect myself and I need to protect my career. So I have to be very careful about what I say around certain people. And this whole conversation...
So you're facilitating the softness, Glenn.
Right. It's all my fault.
You're supporting this.
That's exactly right. But no, I like to get out there and tell people what I think they should be thinking about next.
Yeah, in a really nice way. But wouldn't it be great to get one of these CEOs on your podcast and just bury them with really tough questions?
It would be, but I speak to a lot of CEOs, and I try to actually stay away from all of that stuff, because I find a lot...
I mean buried, I don't mean like hurt them.
No, I know.
Just like give them really hard questions to answer.
I know. I would like that, but if we're being honest here, I would be fearful that then I wouldn't get those interviews again. So I try to take I kind of understand what my niche is.
You're Larry King.
Right, exactly. I'm all about personal empowerment and how to do better and getting the stories from people. I'm not here to play the gotcha game and try to make someone feel on the defensive.
And I am completely against the gotcha game, because if somebody gets me on an interview and they try to play I would literally take the mic off.
Right.
But I think that there's a fine line between I gotcha to let's do some critical thinking here. And I think that, to your point, it's funny because people are saying, well, kids aren't prepared anymore for critical thinking because they're always on their phones and instant gratification. Well, I think what happens is you start getting beat down in the mid-level managers and the executive level, and then all of a sudden you start having to parrot everything because you want to keep your job, because now you're making a lot of money, you have a family, you have kids in college, so now you're just starting to stay status quo. So who asks the tough questions in our business?
Right. And that's what I try to do. I try to ask the tough questions so that maybe when somebody's having more of a reflective moment, then, and when I say ask the tough questions, I mean in personal conversations, at the bar, over dinner, that maybe they'll have an opportunity at night to really just think about it and make some really good change that will make them even more successful in the future.
And especially with liquor in their system.
Well, hey,
it helps.
It works right.
So what is the game? What's next? I mean, you cannot continue to have all these brands.
The problem is...
And owners are getting pissed off, quietly getting pissed off. I hear it. Some are louder because some are more New Yorker, but a lot of owners are starting to get concerned. It's like they're eating from both sides of the table, and you can't do that.
Right. The problem with the hotel industry, which is fundamentally the way that it's structured, is it's several distinct businesses. And I'll say two, for example. One is the operations business, and the other is the real estate business. And, of course, there's the franchising business that's all in there, right? So
which one's the tail, which one's the dog?
That's the thing. That the real estate franchise side of the business, they need to do deals. They need to do deals to survive. They're to be that shark so they don't die. They have to keep moving forward. The operations side of the business is the one that suffers when the deal side of the business is too successful. So it's that yin and the yang and trying to find that perfect balance.
Who suffers at the end?
Not the guest.
The owner.
The owner. The owner is always going to get in the end, because the hotel companies 20 years ago started to move away from ownership into just being companies that take fees and being pure franchising. And that was a really smart decision for them to do from the financial side of things.
Absolutely. But from an owner standpoint, you have to be, where they say, an educated consumer. If you're an educated owner, like we just spoke to one recently, and I will name nameless, he's an educated consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So he can basically surf the waves of danger in this industry and get to the right point where he needs to be to make his bankers happy, make himself happy, and make the guest happy, and make the operator happy, make everybody happy. But you have to be highly educated in real estate, in brands, and in hospitality. And that's really difficult, because most owners that I come in contact with, not only on my show, but just generally speaking, aren't as sophisticated as the gentleman we just spoke to.
Right. Yeah, most of the owners and operators that I see not at conferences such as the Alice conference, but at the brand conferences around the country are typically very different type of people, very different type of personality. They're in it to own 1, 2 properties, right? It's just their family business. Where when you're at a conference such as Alice or you're attending a HOA, these people are building organizations and they want to own or operate many, many hotels.
What do you think about these conferences? Do you think out of 10, how many are truly worth their salt?
It depends on the way that you're looking at them.
Okay.
All right. I would say that from an educational point of view, they're overall, some are better than others. A lot of it's meh. Any conference that has me as a host or guest or a speaker, those are the best. No, the best.
So,
the
so
best.
What level? What would you say 1 to 10?
But
the education standpoint.
I'd say, 5? Yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe a 6 because a lot of the way it works is sponsors pay, then they could be on a panel. They're not necessarily geared towards really giving smart information as much as getting themselves promoted in a lot of sense. Now, I would say that the major conferences in the business are all home runs in the sense that it pulls the community together and it allows people to do deals. So I've given up for the most part, unless selfishly I'm speaking on a panel. I don't even go to the panels anymore. I've even given up going to the general session panels because that's where I find that groupthink takes place. I would rather be out in the hallways along with everyone else who are making those deals and get the truth about what is actually happening.
You want the truth?
And for my own.
Can you handle the truth?
I can't handle the truth.
February 27th, Forbes, Beverly Hills. I'm moderating a panel, and it's going to be fan-friggin-tastic.
I can't wait.
Oh, you're going to be there.
I'm going to be there, so maybe it won't be so good. But I'll be in the audience. I'll be cheering you on, and this is exciting because Anthony and I somehow managed to get myself invited to this event as well, and
because I invited you,
and we are going to be yeah. All right, that would be how it happened. We are going to be talking to some of the most amazing names in hospitality right now. I'm working on getting some of this finalized, but I'm super stoked for the interviews that we're going to have there.
Fantastic. So, to sum it up, the guest wins because they have major choices.
Yep.
The owner wins if they're sophisticated enough to know what brand gets selected. And the brand wins because they're really, really doing better than they've ever done. So where you lose, I think, is the owner that wants to make a quick buck and just wants to own a hotel. And then they can easily be swayed from a really good salesperson like you were just a few minutes ago in our little game to basically take a brand that not so much is good for the owner, but it's good for that person's incentive bonus.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
yeah.
I'd like to say that most, and it's not even that most people are fair and honest. I think they are. I just think that if I have to sell this X brand and I know that the system's saturated, but there's only brand left, I got to sell it. I'm going to make a good plea. It's like, used car salesman.
Right.
It's like, this is a great car. Well, did you tell me the transmission was just redone?
Yeah, I mean, also to be fair, a lot of reasons why some of these new brands are coming in is because there's simply no other brands to sell in a market. And what's funny is
that's really the biggest reason.
And one of the funny things that I'm seeing, especially in places such as New York and other metropolitan areas, it's not like I'm going to build a hotel and I'm going to build X brand. It's like what brands are left, and that's what I'm going to choose from.
And I feel really, really, really strongly that you don't need a brand in New York City. If you have a good management company or you're a general manager and you happen to have $100 million, you don't need a brand. In New York City, you do not need to pay those fees and brands in New York City. That's my opinion.
All right, I just want to be clear that was Anthony talking, not me. I say, brand friends, you need a brand.
You do not need a brand in New York City. And anybody that I will go against any human being. And if you tell me, Anthony, we're going to open up a hotel, and I've done it.
Yep.
I've done it in New York City where they
sure.
say, Anthony, open a hotel for me. I open up a hotel with no brand on it. We call it, John Wayne's Hotel or whatever it is. And I can outperform them. I can outperform them every single day because of my revenue management skill.
Right.
So if I have revenue management skill and I have operation skill and you have operation skill and you have revenue management skill, I win. Why do I win? Because I don't have the fees.
Right. Yep.
So I win at the bottom line.
You know what I want to do for an upcoming show? I want to talk about the changing nature of hotel operations right now and the real world challenges that they're facing as it's becoming more expensive to operate these buildings right now. And I think we're getting to the point now where it's getting harder and harder to push that rate.
There's major hotels in New York City doing top line revenue that they've never seen before, and they can't make a living.
Yeah.
They just can't. So now that we're wrapping up the show, tell me something I don't know.
All right. I've been thinking about this.
Oh.
And I wanted to say that my favorite movie growing up as a child was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Really?
That
little guy in the hallway with the big scar on his face in the alleyway in the street didn't scare the shit out of you?
Oh, he absolutely scared the shit out of me. I can't believe I'm forgetting what his name is right now. But anyway, the point of this bringing up is when I started to get older, I suddenly realized that Grandpa Joe was a fucking asshole. He was lying in bed for 20 goddamn years while his daughter was out there cleaning laundry in this poor house, sitting around with his tobacco smoking money, chilling out, doing nothing. And then the first golden ticket he sees, he hops out of bed, dances around, and he's just fine. I don't get this at all. Get to work, man. Charlie is starving, and all he wanted was a freaking chocolate bar. That's what I think.
Okay, now that was intense and loud and very uncomfortable to listen to. And everybody in the audience is saying, what the fuck happened to Glenn?
Sorry.
But I've got to really ask you a question.
Yeah.
What are you doing today after the podcast?
I'm going to sit on the Long Island Railroad and go home.
Okay, I'd like to bring you to a person.
Yeah.
Okay, don't get nervous.
Okay, I'm a little nervous
Okay,
now.
they may put a little, you put you in a little jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they may put it on backwards.
It's comfortable, though.
There may be cushions in the room. But we're going to talk.
I could use that.
We're going to talk about your childhood. Dude, that was off the rails.
Sorry.
But like staying on the track of movies, my grandmother, God rest her soul, was a little. Let's just put it this way: she was a very eccentric person, but she had no money. So, but she had all the traits of that person.
Right.
And my mother was somewhere, and we were being babysat by our grandmother.
Right.
And how old are you? What was the appropriate age to see Dog Day Afternoon?
What is that? How old was I when I saw Dog Day Afternoon?
What is the appropriate age to see Dog Day Afternoon?
I don't know. I saw it when it first came on HBO, and I'm sure I was too young for it there.
How old?
14.
7? Is 7 too young? Is 7 too young for Dog Day Afternoon? Yeah, 7. I'll never forget it because
that's horrible.
We went across the street to the pizza place to eat pizza, and the reason I remember eating pizza because I just remember for the first time, like when you get older and you come home and you're stressed out and you just need a quick drink and you feel a little bit better. That was the first time in my life. I was only 7 years old, so I didn't have a reference point. That I remember just going to the pizza place and goes, I need a drink. But in this case, I just needed a slice of pizza. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, I remember
I'm 7 years old. I'm in Dog Day Afternoon. And if you haven't seen Dog Day Afternoon, watch it and then let me know if that's appropriate viewing material for 7-year-olds.
When I was 7 years old, my dad took me to see the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Never saw it.
And it scared the F out of me. I was afraid to sleep and all that. And then you know what my dad did? When I did fall asleep, he put a freaking watermelon next to my bed like it was one of the pods for the pod people. And I woke up and I was scared as all hell. Never trusted him again after that. And I really didn't trust him after I went to go see Friday the 13th, Part 4. And I came home and he answered the door in a hockey mask with a chainsaw and chased after me.
Well, see, now that's old school parenting. That's it's getting you ready for the real world. None of this soft bullshit. It's like, oh, you're scared, honey? Come here. Come into our bed. You want cookies and milk? It's like, oh, you're scared? Here's a watermelon. But that's So my grandmother, I loved her. She was funny as hell, and she let me draw pictures on her feet when I was younger. But I didn't know if that was an appropriate viewing material. So you're thinking 7's a little too young.
A little bit. A little bit. I would have gone 8.
You know what? And I've ever told you I've never watched a scary movie in my life.
Really?
I've never watched sci-fi, Star Wars. I don't know any reference to that world. it's completely foreign to me. And anything like my best friend Leo Rossi, he's in Halloween 2. I've never seen it. And he's like a big part of Halloween 2. I've never seen it.
Really, I got to go watch Halloween 2 again. Halloween was one of my favorite movies, and I saw that when I was too young. That's for sure. And what I loved about Halloween was that I think only 3 or 4 people got killed in it. So it wasn't a huge slasher fest. It was just creepy and scary with the man in the mask kind of just being there and lurking, and that was so freaky. Halloween 2 was much more traditional horror movie, stab, stab, stab.
Well, if he asked me today, Anthony, please, it's really important to me, go watch Halloween 2, I'd say you have to not be my friend anymore because I can't watch it.
Wow.
I can't, and I love Leo as much as I love anyone, but I can't watch Halloween 2. I just can't watch any scary movies because, you know what? I like to live in a peaceful mind. The world is crazy enough. If I want to hear something scary, I'll just wait till the president says something.
Right. Okay, on that note, we should probably wrap up. I want to apologize to everybody for being a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs today. I think it was just too many cups of coffee today.
I think that was a little extreme and it made me really uncomfortable. And if there was a human resources department in our podcast company, I would go to them right now.
I know, I would too.
You made me feel uncomfortable, Glenn.
Anthony, I'm sorry that I did that to you.
Are there any reviews to read or any people to read?
Oh my God, I totally forgot all about
That's
doing
why
that.
I'm
And
here.
I did it on the last episode also. Yeah, I've got a review to read. All right, Anthony, glad you asked. We got something here from someone who calls himself Curios Fish. And Curios Fish says, oh, wait, I got to hit the little more button because this goes on longer than I
Curious
expected.
Fish?
Curios Fish. I look forward to each week's podcast to better me each day in my career. I've been in the New York hotel market since I was an intern with Starwood at the Sheraton. Still in operations with Marriott now. I use what I hear on the podcast in my daily work. Hearing a podcast that 100% understands my passion for hospitality invigorates me. Thank you for talking about the tough subjects like unions and ownership and guiding us all in the right direction. P.S. I need to come see the Garden City Hotel with your great promotions.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
But let me ask a question. If you had to put an age on that person, how old would you say they are?
27.
I'd say 42.
42.
Why? When was the last time a 27-year-old used the word invigorate?
That's true. I like the way you're thinking. If they said no worries, then there would be.
So if you're listening to this podcast, please let us know if you wouldn't mind if you're closer to 42 or 27.
Yeah, Anthony, I got big money on this. We're doing we're gonna do the famous trading places, but $1.
All right, my friend.
How do we find you, Anthony?
You find me at Anthony Hotels, anywhere you want to be on the internet, and please subscribe to my other podcast called Extraordinary, where we basically interview ordinary people that do extraordinary things.
That's great. And I am at Traveling Glenn all over the internet. Be sure to like our pages on Facebook, checking in with Anthony and Glenn, and the No Vacancy Podcast, my home base. And go check out novacancynews.com for all of my podcast series, including this one, including No Vacancy, the Hotel Design Podcast, and of course, the Hotel Tech Podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, and thanks for checking in.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.